Hey, y'all. I just wanted to bring you in and show you kind of how I separate the worms from the castings. I start out by getting me a few handfuls of worms out of my bin in my bins and put it in this mortar tray like this. And then I take it out into the yard in the sunlight, and I just set them up like this in a pile. And I let the sun let the sun do its thing, and the worms are going to go down in here. And I'll pause it and come back here in a second and show you what I mean. But I set it up like this. I let the sun do its thing. The worms dive down to get away from the light. I come back and I'll demonstrate in a second. But I take all the soil away from the top until I see worms again. I scoop that away and I repeat the process until I ain't got basically nothing but worms left. All right, hang in there and I'll be right back. Hey, y'all, welcome back. All right, now most of the worms have dived down, as y'all can see. I can zoom in here a little bit so you can tell a little better. But all the worms have pretty much dived down into the bedding. I'm gonna zoom out so you can see what I'm gonna do here. And I'm just gonna take my hand and I'm just gonna wiggle the soil back like this. Now you're gonna lose a few worms, you know. Some of the worms are gonna fall down with the soil. Don't worry about that. Just get the majority of the loose soil back like that right there. Just kind of agitate it back like that. And then I take it and I collect up the loose like that. And I move it over here to the side. And what I'll do is if I see any nice big ones, I'll put them back up there like that. And they'll dive down. And that's pretty much what I do. I'll wash, rinse, and repeat this cycle. I don't really wash no worms or nothing, y'all. But I do it like that. Over and over. Until I ain't left with nothing but a pile of worms here and castings over here. Now what I'll do is, a lot of times, while I'm waiting for the worms to migrate down here, what I'll do is I'll go through here. And if I see any nice fat worms or anything that I accidentally scooped up, I'll pick them up and let's see, I'm grabbing right there. And I'll put them in there like that while I'm waiting for the rest of them to migrate down. Now, I've seen some folks on YouTube do this in their shop with a really bright light or something to shine down on top of the worms, and that'll help the process a little faster. I think that's a great idea. I just don't have electricity in my shed, so I'm using what I got, and what I got's free sunlight, so I'm using the sunlight outside. Obviously, if you had a lot of worm orders, this might not be the best way to do it, but the way what little bit of worm orders I'm getting, this is all right for what I'm doing right now. All right, that's the majority of them. And I just do it like that. And as you can see, they've pretty much, except for the ones I just tossed on top, have migrated back down since I started scraping the bedding in here. So I can go ahead and do this again like this. Now, the sunnier the day is, the faster the worms will migrate down. Today's an overcast day. It's kind of cloudy here, and it's even starting to kind of try to drizzle or rain a little bit. So, technically, the conditions are not optimal at the moment for doing this method of separating worms from castings. But it's still working nonetheless, as you can tell. It takes a little bit of time and patience to do it this way. I've also seen people do it with a trommel. Although I wonder about how the worms feel about the trommel. I imagine the worms don't like what I'm doing to them here either. Especially on a hot day with really bright sun and it's not cloudy out here. They probably don't appreciate this either. But I try to minimize their discomfort. When I get done, I take them back into the shed in the shade. But see how it's becoming just a ball of worms. Now, like I say, when you scrape this bedding away from them, you're going to end up with some worms. Some worms are going to come off with the bedding, but the majority is going to be left behind. So, and be gentle. You know, you don't want to. There's lots of little babies, if you can see. Let me zoom in here. There's lots of little babies. So I'm trying to be gentle. I'm not pressing hard into the mortar tray. I'm just barely scraping my hand across it. I'm collecting them up over here in the corner. Sorry, I'm not taking a good shot of it, am I? And when I'm done doing this, any babies and worms that get stuck to the bottom of this mortar tray, I'll put a bunch of mushroom compost in this tray just so they're not just sitting there drying and dying out. So they have an opportunity to live on in the compost that I later put back into the bin anyway. So, but as y'all can see, in short order, I would say in less than 15 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes. Was it 4 minutes and 52 seconds I've been videoing this. And the first segment of this video was only about, I don't know, 30 seconds long. So about 5 minutes time, and we've almost separated all the castings, all the castings from the worms. Almost. We'll just do, this will probably be the last time. Looks like I'm getting mostly worms down in here now. Alright, yeah. I think that's about all I'm going to be able to get out. And what I do is, look here, y'all. Look at that. Look at that. Now, there is a tiny little bit of castings embedded and left behind with the worms. But I'll allot for that. When I weigh the worms, I'll weigh the packages over a little bit to make up for that. But for the majority, you got like what, 99, 98, 99% worms here now. I was able to separate the worms from the castings. And now I'll go add this bedding and these worms and castings back to my bins, and I'll go make my worm orders out of this. All right, y'all. Well, let me zoom in here so you can get a good shot of the wormies. Now, that's the forbidden spaghetti. I could do better than that, y'all. That's the forbidden spaghetti. Well, hey, y'all, let me know. Do y'all like this video? Do you want me to do more like this? If you do, let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you really like it. Maybe share it with a friend. And y'all do me a huge favor. If you hadn't already, would you please go over there and click that subscribe button? Man, I sure would appreciate it. All right, y'all. Well, God bless y'all if you made it this far. And I appreciate it. Y'all come on back now. You hear?